Chicago Bulls suffer another collapse late in a game that leads them to losing to one of the teams with the worst records in the NBA. We're going to talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bear Central YouTube pages and podcast. Yet again, the Chicago Bulls lose a disappointing game to the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, the Pelicans did have Zion Williamson in this game, who actually played pretty well throughout most of this game. He was 10 of 14 from the field. 21 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 block in this game. He did have 4 turnovers. He had 3 fouls in this game, but Zion Williamson was a force that the Bulls just had no answer to. And not that many teams do, but I think that it just highlighted the fact that this Bulls team just has such a severe lack of size that when Zion, in certain possessions, for stretches of this game, when Zion Williamson wanted something, the Bulls could do nothing to stop him. Nothing at all. And that's just something that the Bulls really need to look at with their roster, because even, with the physical presence that Zion Williamson has, there's really not many people in the NBA that can do much with it when Zion's on and playing well. But the Chicago Bulls just give up so much already in the paint of the defense. When you have a presence like Zion, you're going to give up a lot, man. And that's what the Bulls did today. Zion was cooking. Got to give him credit for it. He took no three-pointers today. He knew exactly what he needed to do against this Bulls team. He went to work and got physical with this Bulls team. And when Zion got physical in those possessions, in those minutes, the Bulls just had no answer, no recourse, no response. It just is what it is, man. There are going to be certain matchups where that each team can't do anything about. And the Zion Williamson type matchup, the Bulls have no answer to. Nothing even to really slow down Zion Williamson. Of course, you look at Patrick Williams and you think, well, Patrick Williams maybe can do something. And Pat's had a couple of good games in his career against Zion Williamson. But this ain't going to be one of those games that we talk about as far as a game where Zion Williamson did a lot when it came down to it. It just wasn't that. It wasn't that type of game. So it's unfortunate. But it wasn't even just Zion. Now, if it was just Zion Williamson who cooked the Bulls, I'd have a different perspective. It'd be like, you know what? That's something we really, we couldn't combat. We didn't know what to do with. We don't have a physical presence that can really do it. But then you look outside of Zion. Trey Murphy III, only going 9 of 20 from the field, but he got to the free throw line 12 times. He got 32 points, 12 of those points coming from the free throw line. 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. He was all over the Chicago Bulls. And when you look at that, him forcing the issue with the Bulls, as well as Zion's physical presence, and then you had Javonte Green as well in this game. He played 29 minutes. He played some really, important defensive minutes against Vooch. But then the Bulls couldn't even exploit it. We didn't even go to try to exploit having a 6'4" guard on Nikola Vucevic. Before it's worth, the former Bull in Javonte had 4 steals, 2 blocks, 7 points, 4 rebounds in this game. Man, I miss all 5 Javonte Greens being on this team. But the Bulls had nothing to do. They had nothing to do when it came down to it. And you look at the flip side for the Bulls today. 25 points from Zach LaVine, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. He did have 5 turnovers in this game, and that's something that really hurt the Bulls in this game as well. The 15 turnovers by the Bulls and 19 personal fouls. That's just really difficult for a team to overcome, especially when they only shot 14 of 43 from the three-point line today. This would have been one of those games I would have loved to see the Chicago Bulls, not to say they abandoned the three-point line, but this was not a game where we should have shot 43 three-pointers. It just isn't. We didn't have it at any point in this game, but 25 points from Zach LaVine, 22 points from Coby White on decent shooting. Wouldn't really call it efficient shooting. It was decent shooting. He went 1 of 8 from 3. You got to shoot the ball better from 3, Coby. If Coby even made 2 more three-pointers, right? Slightly below 40%. That completely changes the complexity of this game and does make him a more efficient. Coby White, at least is 1 game back from the game he set out, but I want to see Kobe go back to driving. This was another game where Kobe settled too much, in my opinion, for three-point shots. Half of Kobe White's shots should not come from the three-point line. It just shouldn't. Not especially not in the game where he didn't have it from three. But, it is what it is. 22 points, 15 rebounds from Vooch. 16 of those 22 points coming in the first half. Because as I said, the second half of this game, the Bulls just did not use Nikola Vucevic effectively, in my opinion. And it just left so much out and so much to be desired. And overall, like some of the stuff that just hurt the Bulls in this game even further, they allowed 28 points off turnovers. Bad. That's just bad. We only had 11 ourselves. We allowed 50 points in the paint, 25 second chance points. It's just hard to win basketball games when you do things like that. And the Bulls really need to look at getting that together because, man, it was really difficult for the Bulls today. Really, really difficult for the Bulls today. Yeah, it's just, man, for them to have the lead that they had in the first half of this game. They had a 6-point lead in the first half of this game, if I'm not mistaken, and they just could not come away with it, man. They got to get that together. Got to get that together, man. But see how you guys are feeling about it. We got Frederick said, Haize, what's good, bro? Just left the UC. That was a terrible performance. We should have won it easily. They let Murphy go off. Yeah, Murphy got in that rhythm, and it was really no looking back at that point in time. Sucks. Washington Wizards had only 5 wins, and they lost to them. Exactly. And we lost to the Wizards twice this season. Twice. We've lost to the Washington Wizards 2 times and the Pelicans 2 times on the season. Just tough, man. Tough. Winton, I saw this coming. The bipolar bull strike again. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's been for years, bro. That's what it's been for years. I would love to be able to say that something's going to change or something's going to give. But at some point, you just got to realize that this just is who this team is. And part of it is who they're playing under, which we'll get into a little bit in a second here. I do want to talk a little bit about that. But overall, man, it's just really unfortunate that Bulls just they can't get right, man. Every time the Bulls do something, every time it looks like they're going to go on a little bit of streak, every time they have an opportunity to do so, we come crashing down and burn it. It's one of the few things that's a certain in life. Death, taxes, and the Chicago Bulls are going to play down to some competition. Just look at this for the Chicago Bulls, right? This is going all the way back since November 27th. Just want to look at this real quick. We lost 2 games in a row on November 27th and November 29th. We turned around and won 2 games in a row. We then turned around and lost 2 more games in a row. Then we won 3 games in a row. Guess what we did after that? We lost 3 games in a row. Then we turned around and won 2 games in a row. We lost 1, won 2, lost 1, won 1, and lost 2. The Bulls are the definition of middle of the pack. Every time we can't make a step forward without making the same number of steps back. And that's why, despite the change of play style, despite the change of faces and bringing in Josh Giddey, Modest Bucelis, Chris Duarte, right? Despite those changes, Jalen Smith, we still sit at the exact same spot, on pace to win the exact same number of games that we won, fighting for the exact same play-in position that we had last year as well. And a big part of that is head coach Billy Donovan. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because, listen, and much like with everything else, every time I start saying anything positive about Billy Donovan, he just reminds me of why Billy Donovan is Billy Donovan. He's always going to be Billy Donovan. He's always going to have the same limitations. He's always going to make the same mistakes. He's always going to do those things. That's just who Billy Bubblegum Donovan is. And that ain't going to change no time soon. It's not going to magically fix itself. That's just who this guy is. Billy Donovan sucks. But we're going to talk a little bit about that up next. This was just a frustrating performance from this team. And I really hope that they can get it together and play better. Because you cannot have this type of performance down the stretch of this game that was a winnable game. He's a goofy. Absolutely, he's a goofy. But if y'all can't tell, man, this game really, I was in a really good mood today. And once again, the Chicago Bulls, like they always do, at this time. They seem to just completely step on that. But we're going to talk more about Billy Donovan, my issues with him and his coaching performance for today. But first, we got to get into the message from Hungry Root. When it comes to grocery shopping and meal planning, I've had this ongoing problem. I just don't have time. Between work, life, and trying to eat healthier, I was constantly feeling stressed out. I go to the grocery store, buy things I didn't need, and then end up with no time to actually cook. And sticking to my health goals, that was a struggle too. But everything changed when I discovered Hungry Root. Honestly, it's been a game changer. It's the easiest way to eat healthy without all the stress. With Hungry Root, it's like having a personal shopper and nutritionist all at once. They take care of my grocery shopping, recommending meals and groceries based on my taste and health goals, from anti-inflammatory to high protein and gluten-free options. And the best part, every meal is ready in 15 minutes or less. I'm talking quick, healthy meals that actually taste great and all delivered straight to my door. It's been a huge time saver and has made healthy eating so much simpler. You're going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. For a limited time, you get 40% off your first box and a free item in every box for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Code LOCKEDONNBA to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Code LockedOnNBA. Don't miss out. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Bulls fans, if y'all can't tell, I'm on like my 12th podcast episode, like my 22nd podcast episode in the last 48 hours. I'm losing my voice, so I'm completely resting the voice for the next few hours after I finish the show. It is what it is, man. It just comes with the territory. To be the hardest working man in podcasts, you got to do what you got to do. But with that said, man, somebody who's not doing what they got to do is Billy Bubble Gum Donovan. Billy Bubble Gum Donovan. Once again, Billy Bubble Gum Donovan. Read this comment from Winton. Coaching continues to be the Bulls' biggest problem. I disagree. I think roster construction is a little bit bigger, but it still is. It's 1A, 1B. I have been saying it for years. The Bulls team will never be successful again until Billy Donovan's finally out of here, wherever that may be. Here's the thing. I don't agree with everything Winton said, but I understand it, right? Today's game, there are a couple things that I looked at, and I literally, sitting back in my chair, watching this game, wondered how a professional NBA head coach can have the mistakes that the Bulls do so oftenly. I said it earlier in the show. Nikola Vucevic was cooking in the first half of this game. 16 points in the first half of this game did Nikola Vucevic have. 16 points. He was 7 of 11 for 16 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block shot as well. And somehow the key to getting Nikola Vucevic out of his rhythm wasn't Yves Messi, who's a pretty damn good rookie. It wasn't that. It wasn't that Zion Williamson was switched on to Nikola Vucevic and he used his strength to disrupt Nikola Vucevic. No, it was not that. You know what it was that took Nikola Vucevic out of this game, down the stretch of this game? It was 6'4" Javonte Green. And no, not all 5 of them were guarding Nikola Vucevic. It was just one. And it wasn't even that Nikola Vucevic could not get by Javonte Green. It wasn't that Javonte Green shut down Nikola Vucevic. You know what it was? Because look at this. Second half of the game, Vuce was 3 of 5 for 6 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, only 1 turnover. So it wasn't that Nikola Vucevic wasn't effective in his opportunities in the second half of this game. It was that Billy Donovan did not use the player and feed the hot hand. Billy Donovan went completely away from Nikola Vucevic in the second half of this game. And it's even worse in the fourth quarter. Vuce was 1 of 1 in the fourth quarter of this game. 1 of 1. one shot to your 20-10 center, one of your most consistent players of the season, when he had a 6'4" guard on him. You got that man one shot. To me, in my opinion, if you put a 6'4" player, a guard on my center, and Nikola Vucevic, that is 6'11", 265 pounds. 265 pounds. He outweighs Javonte Green by 45 pounds. You don't utilize that. You don't even attempt to go to it when the bleeding is going on in the fourth quarter. That's a coaching issue. But wait, there's more. Inbound play calls. Inbound play calls. The time in which you are supposed to, if you are a coach worth half your salt, be able to draw up a simple inbound play. You know what? I could draw up an inbound play for you right now. You have Vooch being the one to inbound the ball. Or no, I take that back. Have Zach LaVine be able to be the one to inbound the ball. You inbound the ball to any one of your other guards. You then have Zach LaVine coming from being the guy that inbounded the ball. You have him run off a screen or a pin down. And then if that screen or pin down is ran with Nikola Vucevic, that's either going to have to go out to guard Zach LaVine on the switch, or the defense is going to collapse, which is going to give Nikola Vucevic an opportunity to shoot over a 6'4" guard. I don't even have a chalkboard in front of me to draw up the play, but I'm guaranteeing most of you can visualize the play that I just talked about. Why is it that we can see things that Billy Donovan cannot see? Is he Thomas Brown? Does he need to be up in the box? It was utterly disgusting to see this effort from the Chicago Bulls late down this game. Again, things that were controllable for them. You can't draw inbound play. We're 5 years. 5 years into Billy Donovan. 5 of them. And you mean to tell me that the head coach that you are so drastically attached to, that does not raise the ceiling for the Chicago Bulls team at all, the coach that is so bad at developing, you had to create a whole entire player development department separate from your coaching staff to be able to develop these players? At some point, we have to ask ourselves, why do we have to handicap a professional head coach so much to just get the bare minimum out of said head coach? Why? Why is that the case here? If you have to handicap somebody to get the bare minimum out of them, that's piss poor. It would be different if the Bulls were winning and the Bulls say, you know what, we're winning so good, we're making the playoffs. We gotta take it another step. We don't want Billy Donovan to have to take a step back from that to develop. Let's create a player development department. But you mean to tell me a head coach that you can't get the bare minimum out of, you had to spend extra money to create another department, which I'm not mad at. You brought in 2 head coaches that were both heads of player development in their respective prior organizations. And we can't draw up a simple inbounds play? That's what you're telling me right now. That's worth the blind loyalty that this front office and this organization has to Billy Donovan is for a coach that can't do the bare minimum. That's where we're at as a franchise. That's where we're at as an organization. That's where we're at as a front office. That's disgusting. JDH, the question is, doesn't Acme see the same coach we do, throw stuff at the TV like we do? What do they think? Anything at all? I don't think they do it all, bro. I don't think that they do. And that is one of the things that is always going to doom or limit what the Chicago Bulls team can do because you have hitched your wagon to a coach that you have to do so much for to just get the bare minimum. And you got to ask yourself, why? Why? But we're going to continue the show. We're going to finish the show off talking about an expanded role coming for Lonzo Ball. But first, we got to get to the message from Wayfair. After the holiday hustle, there's nothing like giving your home a little TLC. I always find that decluttering and refreshing my space helps me get back into my routine. Whether you're tidying it up, clearing out, or just want to give your space a new look to start the new year, Wayfair has everything you need, all within your budget. I'm currently looking for furniture, and their huge selection makes it easy to find pieces that fit my style and budget. My favorite part, the free and hassle-free delivery, even for larger items. Wayfair's site was so easy to navigate. I found everything I needed in no time. There's something for every style at every home, no matter your space or budget. Wayfair makes it easy to tackle your New Year's home goals with endless inspiration for every space. And what's in your decor style? What did you pick? Why did you pick these items? Wayfair has everything you need. Give your home the refresh it needs with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Bulls fans, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Just a reminder, the Locked On Bulls daily newsletter is out. Make sure you guys go to lockedondaily.com to sign up for the daily Locked On Bulls newsletter. With that said, fellas, ladies, gents, Lonzo Ball. We've been seeing considerably better play here lately for Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is stepping up big time for the Chicago Bulls. And while he still is on a minutes restriction, right? When you look at Lonzo and how it seems like, and Stacey King said this on the broadcast, that it seems like Lonzo's wrist, like he's really starting to trust it again. Like maybe now it's been fully healed. You look at how Lonzo Ball has shot the ball over the last 3 games. Lonzo is well over 50% from 3 over the last 2 games. He's also over 55% from the field over the last 3 games as well. Now, I know that that's not a huge sample size, but let's look at it for the month so far. For the month of January, Lonzo Ball shooting 45% from the field and 39% from 3, taking 5.5 3-pointers per game. Most of his shots, he's only averaging 6.7 shots per game, so the majority of his shots are coming from the 3-point line. When you compare that to December, where he shot 31% from the field and 31% from 3-point range, Lonzo Ball is stepping up considerably. We already know the defense is there. We already know the passing is there. We already know those things that Lonzo Ball brings to the table. And here's what I'm going to say. Regardless of whatever the win-loss total ends up being for the Chicago Bulls this season, whenever Ayo Dosunmu comes back and you're able to bring off Lonzo Ball, Jalen Smith, Ayo Dosunmu, and then whatever you decide, depending on the game between Julian, Dalen, Modest, right? Lonzo Ball needs to be the leader of that second unit. Not only the leader of the second unit, I am going so far as to saying that when Lonzo Ball is in the game, right, and this would take another adjustment by Billy Donovan, if when Lonzo plays and Giddey's sitting, Lonzo should run the half-court offense. That should be Lonzo's role on this team. Lonzo should be the one that is running the offense in the second half of this game. In the half court, I should say. Sorry. Any possibility that Lonzo starts playing in back-to-back games? though? No. They've already ruled that out. Lonzo has said it. That's not going to happen this season at all. So Lonzo said that. Now, could they eventually change it? Maybe towards the end of the season, maybe. We see no indication of that. But Lonzo himself, and I'm going to trust what has come out of Lonzo's own mouth in regards to his recovery, but he said that back-to-backs are off the table for the season. So unless there's a drastic change there, I would not expect to see Lonzo Ball in back-to-backs. Now, the benefit of that is the Bulls really don't have that many back-to-backs for the rest of the season. They're in the middle of one now. We then have, let's see if I can count them real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 back-to-backs left the rest of the season. So if you look at that and say this, if Lonzo is not playing back-to-backs and we have 6 back-to-backs remaining, after tomorrow's game, Lonzo only has 3 more games that he has to miss, scheduled misses. If we have 6 back-to-backs, that's 1 game each. I'm sorry, I can't count. I'm stupid. No, that's right. If we have 6 back-to-backs, it's in 6 games. I'm stupid. It's late. Make no mistake about it. I'm sorry. So 6 more games that Lonzo has scheduled to miss. 6 of them. I'm not mad at that. If he can stay healthy other than those 6 games that we're looking at as scheduled misses for Lonzo Ball, that's not too bad. I think you can plan around that, in my personal opinion. I think Lonzo is ready for an expanded role, and we just got to see what Lonzo is going to bring here. But that's my time for today, guys. Let me know how you guys feel about everything down below. Make sure you're following the show at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me personally at CEO Haize. Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV. Everywhere that you can get a show, Locked On Bulls is there. Love you guys. Go Bulls. See Red, y'all. Peace.